Hello everyone, and welcome back to this Monster Hunter Let's Play. I'm Ibblebibble as usual, and today we're gonna go check out the Great Ravine, finally. After the handler's been bugging me about it for ages. Yeah, welcome to the Great Ravine.
Great! We made it! Let's start by finding a way forward.
It's a big hole in the ground created by Zord Magdaros, and I think it's the only time you really get to see this map properly, and for some reason the game thinks I need a movement tutorial again.
I think we can get through if we head this way.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a big canyon with lava at the bottom. There's not much else to say about it, really. I mean, savor it whilst you can, I guess.
Zora Magdaros went straight through. We didn't even slow it down. I'm guessing there's something pretty important on the other side.
Hey, yeah, you haven't noticed, we've got some new gear. I'll probably talk about it a bit more later on.
No way!
Look at this massive fissure it made. This is the power of an elder dragon. We gotta be careful not to fall here.
It's clear that the handler doesn't realize that game mechanics exist, because we can't fall off this cliff, which is good, I guess.
Think we're getting close?
Welcome to the Coral Highlands, one of the prettiest zones in the game. I'll have some stuff to say about its ecology later on, after this cutscene. But for now, enjoy it.
Race you down there. Come on, this way.
Well, we're done. We did. LP over. What a shame. And now our corpse is going to be harvested for goodies by this random person. Or not. Welcome to the research base, the second hub, if you can call it, of this game, other than Ostera. If you remember at the beginning of
You awake?
the
I
game,
don't know where we are.
around episode 2 or 3, we talked to an NPC in Ostera that was talking about the Third Fleet and how they took an airship over the Great Ravine and basically got stuck there. It's these guys. Don't know how long they've been here though. Maybe 10 years around-ish? I'm not too up to date with the lore of this game, to be honest. And one thing I definitely noticed whilst I was recording this, and not when I was first playing through the game, is that she's got the exact same hand animation for every single one of her lines during this conversation, and it's extremely distracting. Yeah, I guess we've got an excuse to go around the Coral Highlands now.
Doing a careful expedition into the Coral Highlands sounds like a good idea to me.
But yeah, this is the research base. It's got some of the same amenities of as Ostera. There's no forge.
There.
I think there is a canteen. There's definitely an item shop, and there's a storage chest, and we just unlocked charms, which are extra bits of gear that hold more skills. No stats other than the skills itself, so they're not going to help us do more damage or anything unless we get a damage boost skill, which this isn't. This is just defense one, which isn't too bad, I guess. Defense is a bit underwhelming of a skill. It's only like +5 defense or something in rank 1 or something silly like that. I also swapped my Palico's tool over to Flashfly Cage because I kind of forgot which monster we're going to fight next. Because I thought we were going to fight one that was susceptible to flash flies, but we're going to be fighting one that's completely immune to flash pods and flies and stuff like that. So I picked the wrong one, definitely. But it's no biggie. I don't really need to use the Vigor Wasp against the next monster. It would just be useful, but it's fine. It's fine. Just gonna pick up a bunch of Mega Bombs as well, because I think I got a bunch during an event, login event, so I can afford to use them. Oh yeah, I've also managed to farm up full Raffian set and the Raffian Hunting Horn with the help of some goons. Thank you very much for helping me farm this shit. And as you can see, the Raffian Hunting Horn's a bit more of a bell than anything. Yeah, let's head off to the Coral Highlands.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna run into Tzitzi-Ya-Ku soon enough, don't worry.
Nothing can stop us.
There is only one other, there's only one other camp here in the Coral Highlands, so there's only one place to go, really, to search for a campsite. And whilst I'm here, I might as well hunt some endemic life. Because, hey, it's a new zone, and that means new critters to catch. Not that I really did that in the last one, in the Wildspire Waste. We'll head back there soon enough to probably go do some Palico quests. And probably the Pissing and Wildlife Researchers mini quests as well. Might as well grab all these footprints whilst I can, because that's going to make the next quest a lot easier. These guys are Shamos. They are the local ground small monsters. Cutscene. This is Tzitzi-Ya-Ku. He's a cute little bugger who basically has a flashlight attached to his head.
Whoa.
He's great. And I will feel kind of bad for beating him up, but not enough to stop me from beating him up. He's going the wrong way, so we're not going to follow him much, really. One thing about Shamos, which are the little guys that we saw just now in the cutscene, they don't have a great Shamos equivalent, so I believe in most zones the small mons do have a great variant. Actually, thinking about it, only 2 out of 3 zones actually have a great variant, so 2 out of 5 zones have a great variant, so maybe that was a bit premature for me to say that. There's Great Jagras and there's another great that we haven't met yet. Oh yeah, this hunting horn has a unique song sound, so that's pretty cool. I think most of the hunting horns with unique skins have unique sounds as well, so I'll try my best to get all the ones with unique skins. Try is the operative word, depending on how far we get into this LP. Let's see. Also, gonna try and get as many mining sites as we can, because a new zone means new materials from these gathering sites. Remember this plane, we are gonna be coming here a decent amount, depending on what monsters we fight. So, the nice thing about the Coral Highlands is that it definitely evokes a coral reef really well. I think the ecology behind it is meant to...
Hey, partner!
Is meant to evoke like how a coral reef works, with the water currents blowing up nutrients from the lower depths of the ocean up to where the coral is. But in the Coral Highlands case, it's really windy. There is an associated zone that we haven't been to yet below that provides all these nutrients. We'll see how when we get there, but suffice to say, I think that's how the general ecology of this zone works, with the high winds blowing up stuff.
Look!
You can probably guess the general theme of what the next zone is going to be, considering it's at the bottom of the Coral Highlands, and it's where all the flying stuff falls down when it dies.
Sounds like the research base has a new guest. Want to go back and check in? And maybe grab something to eat?
Maybe. What we're gonna do instead is we're gonna head back to Astera for now, because even though the game story might imply that we're stuck in the research base, we're not really. We can head back to Astera whenever we want. Yeah, I quite enjoy the aesthetic of the Coral Highlands, even though it's slightly improbable due to coral probably needing to be hydrated really well. So unless the Coral Highlands is extremely humid, which I don't think it is, at least it doesn't seem that way, it's not like hyper foggy or anything, I'm surprised that those huge coral can actually survive there without, you know, drying up and everything.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, fun fact. The analytics director, who is one of the guys hanging out with the where you get the bounties, he's actually the brother of the third fleet master, who we were talking to earlier. So, yeah, this guy. So he's the... Yeah, he has a line saying, like, oh, what should I do when I finally meet her? And also, that was the requirements to unlock the Tzitzi... Blah. That was the requirements to unlock the camp that we just found. And...
Fine work.
We're gonna need Tzitzi-Ya-Ku hide for that, so we are gonna be hunting a Tzitzi next.
And listen up.
Which is why the flash pod is not gonna be very useful. Because Tzitzi-Ya-Ku, considering that he uses flash attacks, is completely immune to the flash pod, so that was a goof up on my part, but like I said, it didn't really make much of a difference, really. I still bodied him pretty well, I'd like to think. Let's see what the Smithy's got to say.
That's incredible.
So yeah, we can now make charms at the Smithy,
Oh,
which I will hopefully show soon. So docking in him now has unlocked the special arena, which I've been trying to show off for the past couple episodes to no avail, so I completely forgot that it actually had to be unlocked. But now it is, and hey, we can go check it out soon enough. Afterwards, after we hunt a TZ first. But first, let's see what we can upgrade from our horns. We've got the Dragonite ore to go upgrade our main ore tree. And eventually I'll go back to hunting Jurtodus, because we're going to need some aqua sacs from it to do that request that the botanist lady asked us for, which would be quite useful actually. Considering I'm used to having a big harvest box, and sometimes I do forget to go check up on it regularly. But for now, we're just gonna go check out. We're just gonna go check out the charms. So yeah, here are a bunch of charms. We can't make any of them yet because some of the materials are a pain in the ass to get, especially those aquacore ores that you can see. They all need one. We are gonna definitely want, at the very least, the attack charm, because attack charm 3, once it's been upgraded, is gonna be a mainstay in our builds. The only time I'm really gonna swap it out if it's something like artillery charm 3, where the decorations are really hard to get.
Working hard?
Yeah, it's only really in specialized builds that you really need to swap out attack charm 3, I would say. I believe in the older Monster Hunter games, charms were the main grind at endgame. You wanted to grind to get good charms and they were RNG. That's not the case in World. It's not RNG at all. You just make your charms and upgrade them like any other piece of equipment, really. Sometimes they're a real pain in the ass to upgrade because sometimes you need some really rare materials from monsters that are such a massive pain in the ass to fight. But for now, we're going to be fighting one that's not particularly pain in the ass to fight. Let's go fight a Tzitzi finally. Speaking of, Monster Hunter Gen U should be out by now. And it's the newest of the old style of Monster Hunter, as people would probably call it. If I had a Switch, I would be playing it, but I don't. So I have to, what's the word? I have to entertain myself in Monster Hunter World for now. Which isn't bad. It's just limited, I guess, if you want to call it that. Yeah, let's go hunt ourselves a Tzitzi. I think it's pronounced Tzitzi. I don't think anyone ever says it, or I don't think there's ever a voiced line that actually says Tzitzi. So I assume I'm saying it right. Friends like on the way to where it usually patrols, so it's really easy to get a bunch of scout flies on it. Here are a bunch of Shamos. They're always around here, and they can be pains in the asses, but they'll die pretty quickly, really. So yeah, Tzitzi's not far from here. He usually starts around here once he's zone into the map. So he's not particularly hard to find, really. I kind of wonder what this red webbing thing is. Looks like some kind of weird fungus, and honestly, it looks weird as hell to me. Yeah, luckily we're going to be fighting Tzitzi around these coral pad things. I don't know what that specific type of coral is called, but as we're going to see, it's going to be quite useful to fight him on those. So yeah, this guy, he has a decent amount of tail swipes and leaps, as we're going to see. But those aren't his main attack. Those are not his main attack, which we saw earlier in the cutscene, but he hasn't used it just yet. And we're gonna see how fucking obnoxious it is to go against it. So yeah, that's his flash attack. As you can see, it had a really wide cone in front of him, and the only way to really avoid it is to go behind his head. You can't turn away from it. Apparently it can flash you even through the back of your head, which feels kind of wrong because monsters don't work in the same rules as that. You have to, if you're gonna flash pot a monster, is gotta be in front of its face. It has to be able to see it. So it's kind of weird that it can flash us through the backs of our skulls, but I mean, I guess this guy would be a bit too easy of a fight if he didn't have that. We can break his head. I think it's the only breakable part of his head, and we are going to want to because it reduces the range of his flash. It reduces the range of his flash attack like crazy. And here's why I want to fight him on top of the coral pads, because it can turn itself into a makeshift pitfall trap. I think the way that these work is that if you do enough damage whilst you're on top of them, you will trigger their pitfall attack, pitfall trap Venus, I guess, if you want to call it that. As far as you can tell, it's not a specific kind of attack, but yeah, it's very useful to have it around. Means I don't have to worry about traps myself. And there we go, triggered again. It's kind of weird. I don't think there's any kind of coral that really works this way in real life. But like I said, having a bunch of coral here is not particularly realistic anyway. Hey, it's a video game. Although I do appreciate that they've kept the general idea of a overland coral reef ecologically sound. So earlier I called Tzitzi kind of a bro, and the reason why is that Tzitzi is a bro, and as you can see, he was immune to that flash pod that was like right in front of his face. But yeah, the reason why Tzitzi is a bro is because he knows he's not the top dog in the Coral Highlands food chain. So when you're fighting other monsters in the Coral Highlands, if he comes along whilst you're fighting that monster, he will flash that monster. I mean, he'll probably flash you as well in the process, but he will flash the other monster and it will affect that other monster as well. And it's quite nice. If you manage to avoid being flashed as well, it's definitely a good opportunity to like get some hits in. And it's all thanks to this guy who doesn't want to be eaten by other monsters, which is a bit selfish of him, but hey, it helps us out. Kind of. Depending. Here we are amongst these really weird coral trees. And we find a sleep toad, which I think are unique to the Coral Highlands. They're just like paralysis toads in Wildspire Wastes and Ancient Forests. If you kick them, they will release sleeping gas. And because I got these mega barrel bombs, I might as well use them. There's also a good opportunity to sharpen. Might as well, whilst this guy's asleep. The nice thing about these status toads is that somehow they actually work against guys like elder dragons, and it's honestly pretty hilarious. Seeing a big dragon be knocked out by a tiny toad. And you can see earlier, we got flashed, but our cat's knocked us out of it. I don't know if we've seen that before. I don't know if we've caught that on video before, but your cat does know that it can knock you out of stun like other players. So it's smart enough to go and do that. And as you can see, with those barrels, we've broken Tzitzi's head. And its fins are all frayed now. So that means that its flash attack has a really short range now. Like before, it was basically the entire area, more or less. Now it's only a few feet in front of its head. And I think there's a second level of breakage that you can break the head to. And that would mean that his flash is completely ineffective. He can't flash anymore, which is kind of sad, but that's the Monster Hunter life. So yeah, I saw this conch shell, so I decided I might as well do a bit of gathering. I'm not sure if this can this thing can't decide if it's abalone or if it's a conch. They're two. I mean, they're both mollusks, but they're both pretty different kinds of mollusks. So I feel as though I should pick one. So yeah, this Tzitzi's all tired out by now, especially with all this stunning to his head and the breaking and anything and whatever. Just gotta chase it down. No biggie. I'm surprised he hasn't run to his lair just yet. He's taking a lot of detours on the way there. But I'm not gonna explain too much, it means more time to beat the shit out of him. Had to have a last minute dodge there to get out of the flash. It's kind of annoying. Did kind of need stamina use reduced. I don't know if you heard it just now, but I think the Shamos have a monkey scream as part of your noises. Because I definitely heard a monkey scream. Let's go chase the Tzitzi up to its lair, except I get kind of lost taking a detour, seeing what's over here. I do appreciate that there's just giant barnacles everywhere. Definitely adds to the undersea aesthetic. Spoiler alert, this is not the way to the Tzitzi's lair. Took a wrong turn somewhere. And we found these land anglerfish. I think it would have been pretty cool if the Tzitzi had a anglerfish, you know, lure. But I guess it wouldn't be able to turn that on and off like Tzitzi, so I guess that makes sense, but I would have liked to have seen a big anglerfish monster. I think there is one in other games, might be 3U, but I wouldn't know, I haven't played them. I think there is one. I vaguely remember seeing one, but I don't know what it's called. I think Tzitzi's flash fins are more like something like butterflies or moths with big eye spots that they flash out every time the predator comes near, which makes sense because Tzitzi's pretty low down on the food chain, so he's gonna want to scare off predators as much as possible. Although I guess in his case, he can't use them anymore. That's so sad. I don't know what triggers it. I don't think I broke his head again, so I'm actually not entirely sure what triggers him not being able to flash anymore. What was I saying? So I think Tzitzi's tactic is mostly just flash any predator that comes along and run away during the stun period, which is a pretty good strategy, to be honest. I need to double check what Tzitzi actually feeds on. It might be Shamos, but I don't think they run away when he's around, so I don't think they do. I don't think he eats Shamos. He might eat bugs, or the abalone, or whatever local mollusks there are. Like, you can see there's a bunch of scallop shells around. There's some gatherable clams. There's one in this room, actually, and I think we do gather it right after this. And there we go, Tzitzi down. Bit of a pity to beat the shit out of him, but it's Monster Hunter. What can you do? It's not called Monster Razor. Although it would be cool to see Tzitzi and some of the other Monster Hunter World mons get into Monster Hunter Stories or something like that. Which I haven't played, but I probably should try it out. Looks cute. But yeah, like I said, there's big clams you can collect from around here. it's very much an undersea vibe. Except for the monsters. The monsters aren't particularly undersea, I would say. Just feels a bit weird that everything but the big mons are sea creatures, but I didn't design them. Let's check out what we got, and it's not bad. You're gonna want a bunch of the hides if you want to make the full armor set, because it turns out the full armor set takes a lot of hides to make, and I was very unlucky whilst I was farming CC after recording this episode. And it took me about 6 CC hunts just to get all the pieces I needed for the full set. What's kind of annoying about the Raffian gear is that it's got poison attack boost. And normally this would be fine. Most Raffian weapons are poison. Except for the Hunting Horn and I think the Lance. I think the Hunting Horn and the Lance are fire for some weird reason. Like, it's as though this game didn't know that there are already too many fire weapons and not enough fire weak monsters. But so yeah, the Hunting Horn doesn't really go well with the Raffian armor, but what can you do? It's not like there's no mechanism to change the elements, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. It's low rank. It doesn't really matter at this point. And we managed to get a great hornfly from our garden, which is a crafting material for a new piece of armor as well. So we've got 2 pieces of armor to check out. Oddly, there's no Tzitzi Palico armor, so that's a shame. I would have liked to seen that, but there's also no Tzitzi Hunting Horn, so for the next fight we're just gonna do whatever is right, really. But yeah, this is the butterfly gear. This is what it looks like on ladies. On guys, I think it's a beetle themed armor, but it's the same skills, it's just an aesthetic difference. It's got a weird mix of gathering and combat skills, so other than looks, I'm not sure why you would wear it. And this is the Tzitzi armor, which is one of my favorites alongside the Tobi Kadachi armor. If there was a layered armor of either of those two, I would just wear those all the time, really. It's not bad, its selection of skills. Like, it's got a flash, it makes your flash pots more effective, and I think that might be the only piece of gear that has that in the entire game, because I don't remember seeing anything else. I'm not too sure how it increases flash pod effectiveness. Maybe it lets it do the Tzitzi thing of flashing, of making flashes be able to penetrate the backs of monster skulls. Who knows? I've never tried it out on my main account. Maybe I should, just to test things out. It's also got stuff like stun resistance, which is obviously very useful. It's more useful at rank 3 when you become completely immune to stun. But for now, stun resistance 1 would be quite useful to get. Just because it lessens the amount of time you spend in stun. And stun is actually a problem with all monsters. It's not just a CC status, because if a monster hits you enough times in a quick succession, you will be stunned. So stun resistance is always useful for that. I think it also has Constitution, which just reduces the amount of energy you spend, which is useful for stuff like bow and dual blades that use energy for most of your shots, most of your moves. Okay, now I'm gonna show off a special arena and see what that's like. And we're also going to show off the Gun Lance at the same time. Gun Lance is a weapon that is both very defensive and very offensive, because it is a lance with a huge shield, but it's also a lance with a giant gun attached to it, which is awesome. It's definitely aesthetically one of the best weapon categories in World. But we're going to be fighting a Puke, which is not going to be particularly hard, really, even though I do nearly die a couple times, because I'm still getting a bit used to Gun Lance. I don't play it very often, but when I do, it's definitely very fun. So one of the fundamental mechanics of gun lance is obviously the gun part, and there are 3 categories of gun to your gun lance. You've got normal, you've got wide, and you've got long. And I'll talk about it a bit more after I show off something that I saw on either Reddit or in the forum thread. And basically, you shoot a stone into the middle of the arena, so the monster goes to check that out. And then what you do is you pull this lever, and it drops a bunch of rocks onto the monster's head. So yeah, the gun lance shares a basic moveset with the lance. Triangle does its pokes, and you can combo 3 of the pokes in before you've got to interrupt it with like a hop or something to reset the combo. Oh yeah, gun lance doesn't dodge, it hops instead. It does a small hop. The hop goes backwards by default, but you can also side and front hop. But anyway, as I was saying, there are 3 different types of gun lance. There's normal, there's wide, and there's long. So normal gun lance, it does the most damage with its bullets by using the full burst, which I'm gonna show off later on. Wide gun lances have... Oh, that's a full burst. You basically slam down the gun lance and then use all your bullets up in one big burst. Wide gun lances do the most regular shot damage, and long gun lances do the most charge shot damage. So after any other attack, including another shot, you can hold circle to do a charge shot. So this gun lance, this Tobi-Kadachi gun lance, is a long gun lance. So to do the most shell damage, I'm gonna want to charge my shots as much as possible, like that. So as you can see, it literally doubles damage. Uncharged shots do 11 damage, charged shots do 22, and I missed that one. So I think something like normal gun lances have 4 shots. Long gun lances have 3, and wide gun lances only have 2 before you need a reload. And you can reload in 2 different ways. You can do a regular reload, which is whilst you're guarding, or you can do a quick reload, which you can do after any attack. The differences are that the full reload also reloads your Dragon Piercer, which is the big bullet you can see below the sharpness gauge. And what that does, we've already used it once. It's at the end of several combos. There are several different ways to do Dragon Piercer, but they're all at the ends of quite long combos, so it can be a pain in the ass to do it. Dragon Piercer is basically a big stake that you shove into... Sorry, it's not called Dragon Piercer, that's something else. It's called the Worm Stake. So the Worm Stake is a big stake that you shoot into the monster, and it does a series of explosions. I think it does cutting damage, so it's actually very useful to cut off tails if you can shoot it into the tail, because it does a bunch of damage in quick succession. So yeah, the quick reload doesn't reload the Worm Stake. Annoyingly, the gun lance isn't as mobile as lance because it doesn't have a charge attack, so that's one downside of gun lance compared to lance. But hey, you get a big gun attached to your lance. I do a bunch of full bursts just because it's fun to do, rather than it being actually particularly damaging with a long gun lance. And hey, we gotta use the flash fly for once. Flash fly cage. And there's the Worm Stake. As you can see, it's at the end of a pretty long combo. The nice thing about gun lance shelling is that it's not affected by sharpness. So anytime you shell, you take away a large chunk of sharpness, because it turns out firing a cannon blunts your bayonet for some reason. I guess it's a decent balancing thing. But anyway, shelling damage is not affected by sharpness until you get to the really low levels. So like red sharpness, or maybe even below red sharpness. So, whilst your melee shots will definitely be affected, you can afford to just shell if you're at low sharpness and you don't have the opportunity to resharpen. This can definitely be prevented by using Protective Polish, which is a skill from an armor set that we haven't seen yet, so we're not going to see that for a while. But yeah, you're going to want to try and get Protective Polish if you want to both shell and poke. Other useful skills are Artillery, which boosts the damage of shells, and Capacity Boost, which gives you 1 extra bullet. So you do more damage with full burst, and you can do more charge shot and stuff. And this is the final trick of the arena, the Dragonator. It's a big stick that pokes out. It's only available like 5 minutes into the fight, so you gotta wait to use it. But hey, it killed this Puke pretty dead because it's a low rank. And the Dragonator does a decent amount of damage. But yeah, that's Gun Lance in a nutshell. Oh yeah, there's also the big charged attack that you can do from guard, which I think I show off soon enough. Which is the Wyvern Cannon. So it's basically a big attack that that goes on cooldown for a few minutes afterwards. There's no gauge for it to show it counting down, but there is a part of your gun lance, like a physical part of the gun lance, that will show the cooldown on the Wyvern Cannon. So yeah, as you can see, there's a glowing orange bit to our gun lance now, and that stays there until the Wyvern Cannon is recharged. And it's good, I guess it's good to wake up monsters, although it's multiple hits rather than one big hit, which feels kind of silly, so it's actually not that great to wake up monsters. There are better people to wake up monsters, but if you're the only one, then might as well use it to wake up the mon. But yeah, that's the special arena, and that's Gun Lance. And this is my Puke. Let's go talk to the research guy to see what we've unlocked. I think it's just Tzitzi. So yeah, I'm just gonna go quickly check in with... I was gonna go quickly check in with at the workshop because I realized I haven't checked out the Palico gear. So like I said, there's no Tzitzi Palico gear, but the Great Hornfly that we got from our garden, that does create some very, very, very cute Palico gear. And I'm gonna want to make the weapon because it's a very good paralysis weapon. And right now we've got a Raffian Poison weapon, which isn't as useful. Paralysis is definitely more useful. But for now, thanks everyone for watching another episode, and see you guys next time. Cheers.